GLO is the global loyalty organization uniting all of the participants of the loyalty and customer experience and co-brand sector. Our biggest supporters from the beginning were hotels, airlines, payment providers and systems like yourself at Visa. But what we are seeing in the last year and a half is that a lot of the new economy emerged players like e-commerce, e-mobility, experiences, they're also launching loyalty programs, and they're looking at the co-brand cards. Is there something that you're seeing at Visa? Do you see them approaching you, and what trends do you expect in the coming 2-3 years?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of followed the same path, to be honest, right? I think, years ago, the co-brand space was all about sort of airlines and lodging and fuel and retail. Past few years, marketplace, gig economy, 100%. What's interesting now is as consumer behavior and needs change, there's more of an appetite for what I would say is our niche programs, right? And so you're seeing a lot of new verticals interested in co-branding. Everything from healthcare to rental platforms, to online investing, small business programs, gaming. Gaming is huge now. I know everyone's talking about gaming, but gaming is huge. And what I like, my personal favorite is, again, what is old is new again, what we used to call affinity programs or like sports co-brands, we now call fan-based programs. And with the recent FIFA World Cup, there was so much one of the best World Cups, right, in terms of just fan engagement and excitement. What you're seeing leading up to and definitely coming out of that is an interest in sports programs, sports co-brands. So don't be surprised if in the next few months you'll see a lot of these types of programs drop into the marketplace. So there's a constant evolution within sort of the co-brand space as well, and it follows loyalty very closely because it's an extension of loyalty.
Which makes sense, right? Because what we are seeing is that actually loyalty is being much more used in the experiences.
Yep.
And sports, gaming, leisure, leisure in the wide sense, concerts, give perfect base for launching of the co-brand. So not only we're probably likely to see FIFA Visa co-brand card, but maybe Call of Duty Visa co-brand card in the future.
I'll let you make the predictions, Anastasia.
But it can be an amazing monetizing opportunity for some of the biggest players.
Yes.
Okay, going a little bit onto the consumer and what they expect from the co-brand. Traditionally, our parents and grandparents were seeing a loyalty program usually as a discounts or coupons in the store. Our generation is very much used to the points, miles approach. The new generation probably is looking a little bit more at experiences and unique trips. What are you seeing at Visa? What, let's say, benefits are a must for the program to succeed?
We're absolutely seeing the same thing, right, in terms of the trends over time. I think for the way that we approach any sort of card value proposition is there's sort of like 3 key elements to a value prop, right? The first is what we call everyday spend. You want to make sure that cardholder is engaging with your brand on an everyday basis, and that means incentivizing them both on brand or off brand, right? So what we typically say, in and out of store, right? Physical or digital store now. But that doesn't need to be just tied to a loyalty currency. We've seen quite successful cashback programs, for example, right? Which is still kind of traditional loyalty, but that's table stakes. The second thing is around those unique merchant benefits. Again, it's the reason why those cardholders take your card, is they want something unique tied to your brand. The third is probably closely tied to your question, which is like, what are some of those new relevant benefits that we're seeing emerge? And those are really critical because they're addressing those lifestyle needs of a customer. And those are the 3 critical elements. And I'll focus on the third, and I'll give you some examples. One of my favorite cards in the marketplace right now actually comes out of the UAE. It's with a lodging company. And what they've done is with that card, you can go to any of their properties You can use their pool, their beaches, and their gyms. You don't have to spend on the card just because you have the card. But they know that if you go there and you show your card to get access, you're most likely going to use that card than to spend on property, right? But what a great benefit.
Yeah, returning customer, increasing frequency.
Yep, exactly. Access, right? We have a partner in the US, they're a large sort of retailer, and they have a traditional sort of table stakes loyalty program as well. When we did some customer research, what we found is that what customers love about that card is the access to pre-sales for all the new upcoming in-season fashion. I'm not a fashion guy myself, so maybe not something that I would find valuable, but a lot of customers find that access to those pre-sales really, really valuable. And the last, you've mentioned this a couple of times now, is that experience, right? How can you provide that once-in-a-lifetime experience to a customer because they are a cardholder? We're seeing concerts. We're seeing virtual food and wine with celebrity chefs. We're seeing, go golfing with a pro golfer. That has become very, very common in some markets, not all, but I fully expect that this is something that will become common around the world.
It's interesting because that brings me to my next question about 2024 and possibly, a bit tighter economic environment, maybe recession. We're seeing increasing interest rates across the globe. So I would think that, the most of the customers, the middle class, they will be looking much more to kind of a cashback or discounts that they can acquire with the co-brand. But on the other hand, even in this environment, there is quite a big chunk of members who probably are doing okay. And for them, the exclusive experiences will still be more valuable. What are you seeing? Are you seeing anything in Visa? At Visa, what are you expecting in the tight economic environment?
Yeah, listen, we're always going to see sort of a shift, right, year over year in terms of what the macro environment provides. And I'll come down to sort of a simple principle, which is really knowing your target segment and that segmentation, right? And so if you're going after an affluent portfolio who maybe, the economic crisis is not going to hit them as hard, still providing those experiences, still providing that access, right? But then there may be those customers, coming into the next 3 to 4 years where, the pending economics will have a deeper impact on them, where you start to shift that card value prop into something that's going to give them more cash back or whatever that value is that will help them save time and money. And so brings me to the point of refreshing the value prop, right? So that's so critical, again, to the success, right? You launch a market, that product 3 years later may no longer be relevant because the needs of your customer have changed, maybe impacted by the macroeconomic environment, maybe impacted by something else. And so you need to constantly stay in touch with that customer, understand what they want, and change your loyalty program and your co-brand card alongside it.
What are you seeing among your co-brands programs? Do they readjust the business strategy once in 2 years or more even frequently now?
I actually recently conducted a little bit of a case study on this. And it took our first co-brand partner almost 25 years to refresh their value prop. We're going back into the 1970s now, right? But since that first value prop, they've started to refresh it faster and faster and faster. The second time they did it was within 11 years. The third time was within 8. And now they just recently did it again after 5. What we're typically seeing is that it's usually somewhere between 4 to 5 years that you're looking to refresh that value prop. But sometimes, the changing needs of the environment may dictate something sooner than that. But that's what we typically see.
Luigi, the payment sector was one of the leaders of innovation. And we definitely saw in the last 5 years new solutions, new technologies emerging from your sector and driving the whole lifestyle of the consumer, changing the nature and lifestyle of the consumer. What are you seeing on your side, and where do you expect the sector to be in 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking a lot about the evolution, and I think there's a lot that we talk about, and maybe some things that aren't as commonly talked about that I'll dive a little deeper into today. Obviously, what we've seen in the past couple of years, a lot of flexible credit, right, which is buy now, pay later. We've talked about experiences, the focus on the important topic of social responsibility and sustainability. I think we're all maybe focused a little bit more on, which maybe everyone's tired of talking about, is sort of like the impact of COVID on consumer behavior, and what are we seeing that from, how are we seeing that from an innovation standpoint. And so first and foremost, the digital transformation, right? We all know that consumers like yourself, like myself, we shifted our behavior from physical in store to online. That shift has remained. Tons of facts and figures about that, right? But what are our partners doing about it? What's interesting to me is around the world and around many different verticals, you're seeing an introduction of merchant wallets where they're competing with the likes of an Apple Pay or a Google Pay, and they're putting their own branded co-brand into that wallet. And they're doing that because they're trying to capture more mind share. They're trying to capture that everyday engagement. And hopefully that will lead to more wallet share as well. So that's really interesting to me that so many, across verticals, it can be QSRs, it can be airlines, it could even be fintechs in Brazil that are doing sort of these wallets. You mentioned QR codes, another one. One thing that I don't know that we've talked about a lot is about multi-currency solutions. Also, as a result of COVID, right, with the workforce today being more mobile, more remote, multi-currency solutions have become more prevalent. So what is a multi-currency solution? It's basically a card, an account that allows you to receive or hold or send money in different currencies at a fixed rate. And so think about it. Like, let's just say you want to go work from Italy for 30 days, right? That card could be very valuable to you, right?
This actually coincides with the main trend we see, which is pleasure, business and pleasure combined together as the workforce became very mobile.
Exactly, and multi-currency solutions addresses that need. And then the last thing, we've talked about it, but I want to talk about it again, because if I had a penny for every time this is mentioned, I would be a very wealthy man, but it is lifestyle, right? And lifestyle means different things to different people, right? For me, it may be wanting to buy that thing that I never thought I could afford, but I want to treat myself. To others, it's more about that focus on well-being. But you've seen a prevalence of marketing. If you go back in the past 3 to 4 years and just look at all the marketing that you personally have received, the prevalence of doing something for you, doing something for your lifestyle, for your desires, has come to the forefront, where that necessarily wasn't always necessarily the case. And it may change again, to your point earlier about as we, the changing financial times, but for now, lifestyle is still very much top of mind and sort of something that we should all be innovating around.